and welcome back to another episode of JR Takes. As always, Ryan and I coming at you with the latest Seattle and NFL news. And Ryan, the preseason is finally behind us.
Finally.
And the 53-man roster cuts have been made. What do you think as far as the haves and the have-nots that made our squad?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't too many surprises this year. I think the fan base, myself included, the biggest, heartbreak of the guys that got cut was probably Jamie Sheriff, who was actually picked up by what is basically becoming the Seahawks' sister squad in Carolina, along with John Radigan. Mm-hmm. I was hoping we could find a way to keep him, but he would have been our fifth or sixth edge rotational guy. So I don't think it's going to be largely impactful to the team. I think one of the most promising signs out of the final 53 is that Uchenna Nwosu wasn't placed on short-term IR or the PUP list or anything. Mm-hmm. So he may be ready week 1, which is really, just well beyond what we thought was going to be the case after he's getting carted off the field against the Browns I don't know if you saw the block.
I did.
Dude,
yeah.
It's preseason and you're doing an illegal low chop block to someone's knee. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was certainly relieved to see him, like you were saying, not go on that short-term IR, because that's the base level. A lot of times players that go on that, remember when Abraham Lucas, we thought we were going to get him back, and then it just was delayed even more and more and more. So good sign that that's not a potential threat to having him on our starting roster. I was pretty shocked to see Artie Burns go on the practice squad. I know he got kind of injured, but I don't know. He's just been on our team for a while, and that was kind of surprising to me.
I think that the plan with him, because with veterans, you get 2 practice squad elevations for game day that don't count against the active 53. So my guess is they're going to do that with the first couple of games just so they can have him on game day without having him on the roster. And I think there's some financial reasons for doing that too. But it's kind of nice because him is your 6th or 7th cornerback is quite the luxury to have, considering that I think he should be starting somewhere in the league. I think Artie's a good player.
Did we make that Michael Jackson trade before the last episode? Did we talk about that?
I think that was in between.
Okay.
It might have been right after we recorded that. And
yeah.
Did we trade him to the Panthers as well?
Yeah, we got the linebacker from Michigan. He was a 7th round pick.
That's right. Who I think is also on the practice squad now.
Yeah, I kind of like the trade because, obviously you can see if we're having guys like Artie Burns on our practice squad that we're kind of at cornerback overload right now.
Yeah. And Mike Jackson, if he was going to get cut and we get a successful trade instead of having to just straight release him, that's a pretty big win, I think, just in concept.
I totally agree. What are your thoughts on as far as just the way we played against the Browns on last Saturday?
Yeah, it looked like the starters were I know the Browns didn't play all their starters, namely Deshaun Watson, but I thought while most of the 1s and 2s were in, the Seahawks really dictated the flow of this game. Geno Smith on that opening drive was just an absolute surgeon. JSN looks like he's going to be a real factor this year. And then DK's touchdown was very pretty.
Yeah.
So I loved just about everything about the offense on the opening drive. They gave Geno time. There was guys getting open, and they executed in 8 plays or less. So that's pretty much all you want to see out of your starters in the preseason, I think, is to get through that and be healthy. And then on the defense side of the ball, they were getting a lot of pressure. They, I think, only allowed 13 points in the first half. We were up 24-13, something like that, going into halftime. The second half, it's all, guys who are trying for a job at that point pretty much. And even still, it seemed like the final score of this game wasn't really indicative of how the game went because the Browns scored with, time expiring.
55-yard, look at this kick. Did you see this thing?
Yeah, Myers was, I think it might have been a 58-yarder, actually. It was long. Ooh, that's a good hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, that's 58 yards. That's almost a 60-yarder.
That's nice.
He kind of drilled it, too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did you guys see that Sleeper added 6.2 60-yard field goal to
Really?
their.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, so
I
we
like
could
that 'cause
we
that's
could
like-
maybe change that this year if you guys want.
Mine as well. I mean, there will be like 0 to 3 of those made in the
it's
season,
like, you
probably.
get a
So
60-yarder.
yeah, I think you deserve an extra point for that.
Yeah.
But anywho, I just all around solid performance. Unfortunate, we had a couple injuries. D. Eskridge going out like a champ with a nice punt return touchdown. Actually, a really nice punt return
Actually,
touchdown.
Right here.
Yeah, this was awesome. It's obviously wasn't enough for him to actually make the team.
I know.
That's kind of crazy that even a punt return touchdown, which is like one of the rarest plays in football, didn't get him a roster spot.
I think it's just because
Made up their mind.
Chenault just looked like a better option.
He did.
And also D. Williams looked really nice too, and I believe he made the team,
He did.
which is part of why I think.
We got the roster up there.
Oh, great! I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
That's also probably part of why a guy like Artie Burns is just on the practice squad, is so we can keep D. Williams without consequence.
Yeah, Colby, is there a way that you can zoom in a little bit on the roster?
Yeah.
Also, another factor just in this preseason as a whole, and I'm not trying to get carried away with the statement I'm going to make, but a lot of people were really excited about the way Bo Nix played this season, or this
Yeah,
preseason.
it's perfect.
Sam Howell played objectively better than Bo Nix this preseason, like from every statistical measure, and I think looked very adequate out there.
Well, I think the Bo Nix hype comes from he was overdrafted, so to speak. A lot of people think that when Sean Payton took him at 12 or whatever it was.
It always made sense to me that he
But
did
yeah,
that.
I always thought, I mean, you know how much I liked him. I always brought up how he reminded me a lot of Russell Wilson coming into the league. But yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the why the media is paying so much attention to Bo Nix, and they're the Broncos. They always get that sort of, I mean, it's like a B-level Dallas Cowboy media attention.
Kind
I
of,
feel like.
yeah. The legacy of Elway is long-standing for sure.
Yeah,
But I'm not saying I think Bo Nix looked really good. I'm just saying nobody is going to talk about the fact that Sammy looked quite sharp this preseason.
I kind of feel like that's been the general consensus, is like a lot of people have already written Sam off. Like everyone wanted to, I mean, he got traded by the Commanders, but like no one was considering the path of him being their starter. And I think that's kind of a shame because he showed that he can play in this league. Like he might throw a lot of picks, but he can move the ball downfield, which is not something a Justin Fields can do, in my opinion. So
He can drop the ball on the field.
speaking of which, we'll get to this in a little bit, but did you see how bad Trey Lance played?
Oh, I did. I just saw the stat line.
He
I
had
didn't watch any of the film.
5 interceptions, 2 fumbles. That's
In
like,
one game?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's like Nathan Peterman level bad. Mm-hmm. And it's against terrible backups.
Yeah.
Wait,
The Chargers, who have no
it's
depth.
that bad. When you guys-
That's Russell Wilson's reaction to that stat line. You feeling
Be
dangerous?
careful, though. It's spicy.
Yeah, all in all, I think the preseason was more or less a success, going 2-1, only dropping a dumb game to the Titans on a game-winning field goal, in a game where neither team played hardly any starters. Sheriff was this year's Cason Williams Award, where they do awesome in the preseason and get cut. I was a little bummed for Aesop Winston getting cut.
I was surprised he got cut.
I just didn't see, looking at because I didn't think the only chance he would make the team is if Derek Young was put on the chopping block, the way I was looking at it. And I just didn't see them doing that.
I'm kind of surprised. I mean, granted, I didn't watch very much preseason this year. I'll admit that. But I haven't really seen us use Derek Young for anything, which is surprising because he's built like DK.
Well, I think the thing is he's already had 2 years of regular season play under his belt, and his special teams and unseen offensive contributions, because they'll line him up at fullback occasionally and stuff like that. He's a very versatile player, not someone that's really put up any sort of stats in the league yet. But I think that they really see something in him. So who's to say how long he'll be on the roster? But he'll be on the roster for 1 more year for sure.
I guess let's see, practice squad, 53-man roster.
Oh, while we're talking about the practice squad, we made a little signing.
Oh
today.
yeah.
We got Bowser.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited just so we can, like, if he gets moved up to the 53-man roster, that'll be pretty hilarious to see just Bowser's uniform.
Yeah,
on the
I mean,
field.
we've been making jokes about Bowser being on the Ravens for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. It's like come full circle. And
Yeah.
he's a pretty good player. He had like 8 or 9 sacks one year. So
Yeah.
he's not a superstar, but if you have a guy like that knows Mike McDonald's defense from previous experience and can immediately contribute, like another good move, I think.
Little did we know how much we all wanted Patrick Queen during the start of the offseason. We would end up getting a former Ravens linebacker, and it would be Bowser. I mean, it makes sense. It's just kind of a beautiful connection there.
Yeah, sometimes you get what you want in strange ways, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, all in all, glad the preseason's over. I was sick of it.
Are you scared that we won every single preseason game?
No, we lost to the Titans.
Oh, we did. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost like 16-15. Again, because Jason Myers missed an extra point in that game. So that's
I
my
wonder how-
one.
never mind. I'm not even going to say it.
Yeah, I hope he got all his misses out of the way for extra points in the preseason.
Yeah, we'll certainly see.
We'll
But-
save that anger for later, though.
But moving forward, the Week 1 matchup against the Denver Broncos, it's a home game, is it not?
It is. It's our home
Yeah.
opener.
Yeah, so I don't really know what to expect. I think we'll win the game, but it's going to be interesting how Bo Nix plays like at our home stadium against the 12-man noise and all that, because
It's not an environment he did very well in with the Huskies.
yeah,
Or
I mean,
against the Huskies.
yeah. So we'll see. I feel like it'll be maybe like a 6-point affair. Like we'll win by a tutty, but we'll have to stop him on defense on like a final drive, and Bo Nix will just be overwhelmed because he's a rookie.
I could see something like that, but I also I feel like the Broncos are, I mean, think about it. They're super cap strapped with the Russell Wilson cut. They are cutting veterans, like Simon J.P. Ryan and Tim Patrick, just because they're it's a youth movement. Basically, it's not a pseudo rebuild. It is a rebuild that they're
Right.
embarking on right now. And I would not be surprised if we win this game by more than 10 points, to be honest.
The only reason I'm not doing that, and I know they're very different scenarios, but remember last season, Week 1,
I know.
we thought we were going to kick the Rams' ass.
I was going
and
to
then we
bring
got
that up
stomped.
too. And I was saying the same things about the Rams last year. But the difference is the Broncos don't have Matt Stafford. And when Matt Stafford comes
true.
to play, he's like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. When he doesn't come to play, he's, Derek Carr, basically. But he had, on the high level of variance, Matt Stafford is a monster.
Sure. I'm gonna give the new acquisition offseason head coach hire and just the turnover of our coaching staff. I'm gonna give the Broncos, I guess, a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and not assume that we're just gonna roll over on them because they're young.
I got you
Right.
covered.
That could have been in 2009 or 2014, and I would not know. Because it's definitely a Lions jersey.
Yeah.
It's crazy Matt Stafford has been playing since we were in like junior high. Like,
Yeah, I remember I went to the game his rookie year against us.
I think he was 20 in his rookie year.
Yeah, 'cause
he
threw
was
5 picks.
he was one of the I think the 2009 or 2010 class is when they changed the CBA.
Mm-hmm.
And so they changed it so you couldn't get drafted unless you had at least 2 years, I think, or maybe even 3 years of college football. Might have been 2. Anyways, and then the other change was the salaries. Rookie salaries are like on a set scale depending on the pick. Because Sam Bradford made over $100 million in the NFL doing nothing.
Yeah, that's like the craziest stat to me, I think, is how much money he made being like Nick Foles, basically.
He
But
probably
worse.
made more money than John Elway, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. Speaking of money, Brandon Ayuk just signed a huge extension with the 49ers for about $30 million a year on average. I don't know.
Did that happen today?
I think that happened today.
Wow, I
or
did
yes,
not- I
or
did not
last
see
night.
Huh.
Say
But-
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, that saga is finally over. There was rumors of him getting traded to the Steelers and some other teams. The Browns showed up here and there, but I kind of always thought the Niners were going to lock him up. I think this is the Niners' last chance to get a Lombardi trophy in
For
this
sure.
current roster.
Because isn't this... No, wait, no. Yeah, this is Purdy's final year on his rookie deal, right?
Yeah, it's his third year. I mean, think about us with Wilson. It was after his third year when we lost Super Bowl to the Patriots that we had to give him his first big contract. And if Brock Purdy has the case to ask for like $50 million a year because he's been to 2 NFC championships at like 25 years old or whatever.
I hope they give him the money.
I hope they do too.
That'd be awesome.
And I hope Debo goes bye-bye. And all sorts of other guys like Trent Williams. But anyways, they have all those pieces for now. They're going to be very formidable this year, but I do think this is it. So,
yeah, no, I agree. And especially you have the holdout of Trent Williams still going on.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, would you assume that they're going to get his deal done next after getting Brandon Ayuk done? I don't know how long that's going to take.
Well, another factor, too, is Trent Williams is fucking old.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but he's the guy that like punched Richard Sherman like 12 years ago. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was when Robert Griffin III was like
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. He got Rookie of the Year and just then had a dumpster fire.
And
Yeah.
now he's fired from ESPN for having terrible takes.
I liked Robert Griffin III though, just as a commentator, just or analyst, just because he would like, stand on his opinions and not like fold about it. Like he had some takes that were pretty dumb.
Yeah.
But I respect that.
Yeah, no, Robert Griffin, he's fine. What I guess since we're talking about broadcasting and whatnot, I'm pretty excited to listen to Tom Brady in that Cowboys Cleveland game.
That's
it's gonna
be
be
so
weird. And I bet you he's gonna be really good.
Probably.
Because he's probably just going to be like, I want to be the best commentator. Me!
Are you sure about that?
What if they get a broadcast together?
I'm horrified that that's going to happen.
And they're just like,
It's going to be like, I'm Tom Brady.
yeah.
And here's Tony Dungy.
They're going to be like, it's going to be like a Fox game will come on, and they're just both going to be like,
that will be horrifying for anyone that's watching that game across the country.
hopefully no children are watching. It's going to be them nightmares.
But yeah, I think we're both in agreement. We're going to win this game. It might be annoying for some stretch of the game, but I think it's hard to beat a team in their home opener. It's really hard to beat the Seahawks in their home opener. And I think one difference between McDonald and Carroll, I mean, I'm projecting. I have no empirical evidence to actually point to. But one thing that happened with Pete Carroll all the time is we play down to our opponent. I feel like Mike McDonald he's a very no-nonsense guy. I think that's going to be a thing of the past. So hopefully we get a few more blowouts this year, because even though post-Russell Wilson, post-Legion of Boom, the Seahawks were still a top 10 team in wins since like 2017, I could barely name the amount of blowout victories we had. Like, I feel like last year against the Giants was the only huge win we've had in the last like 4 seasons.
Which kind of goes to show how good our 2013 team was. Because
we had like 6 blowouts.
yeah, obviously you mentioned the wins thing, and that was still happening because Russ was Russ and he was in his prime still. But yeah, I mean, we didn't really have, the amount of losses we had that were within a score when we had Russ, we had like a crazy streak there for a while.
Yeah, I think there was like 40 something games in a row where we didn't lose by more than like 4 points or something like that. Or maybe it was just a touchdown, but it was a 1-score loss every time for years and years. And I feel like that really died when we played the Rams in 2017 and got annihilated at home.
Yeah, I remember that too, because I remember that being like the first, like, wow, I don't think we've ever been blown out with Russ as our quarterback before.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of when we lost the mantle of kings of the NFC West. Even though we won it in 2020, like, I feel like we really haven't been top dogs since then.
Yeah.
Because in 2020, the Rams kicked our ass at home in the playoffs.
Which, speaking of the NFC West, there's a lot of analysts taking us to finish second in the division.
Yeah, Greg Rosenthal of NFL.com actually picked us to win it, which I thought was, I mean, he was the only one of like the 20 panelists, but still somebody picked us.
Yeah, I think he might have gone on to First Things First because I was listening to them yesterday, and I don't know that it was a guy named Greg on there as a guest. I was listening to him, not watching it, so I didn't see who it was, but they were all picking like Nick Wright and Kevin Wildes and all those guys that host the show were picking the order of the NFC West, and he picked us to get second in the division and the Niners to miss the playoffs, which
Wow.
I could see that happening if injuries take hold of that team because they stayed pretty healthy last season.
Yeah, and think about the games where they were missing Debo and Trent Williams. Brock Purdy's stat line was like 2 touchdowns to 9 interceptions or something like that. Like it's wild if you look at the disparity of his play with those guys gone versus with them playing. Like Brandon Ayuk, interestingly enough, was not a huge factor whether he was on or off the field for Purdy's performance, but Debo and Trent were like a massive swing. So, yeah, I mean, if they stay healthy, they could win the Super Bowl. If they don't, they could miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, even Nick Wright, he picked us to finish third, but he even said, he was like, this was probably the hardest team to leave out of the playoffs for me, which kind of just goes to show, like, I mean, I don't think we're going to have a terrible season by any stretch, but we did win 9 games 2 years in a row, and I don't see why this season would be any different.
I think the biggest thing with the Seahawks this year is, I don't know if you've looked at our schedule recently, but on a second glance, it's a tough schedule. Like, we play a lot of really good teams, the Jets, the Dolphins, obviously divisional games. The Bears are going to be a hard opponent. We play the Falcons. Who knows what they're going to be
Don't
like.
we play the Patriots week 3?
We do. That's a win.
I'm glad that we played them in Denver so early because
Yeah.
I feel like those are going to be good. Like, I mean, I assume we're going to win both games, so I think those will be good for like a morale
We cannot
booster.
afford to lose either of those games.
Yeah.
Is the bottom line. But yeah, I think we have a chance to get off to a strong start this year. And I think one thing that's really lost in the media shuffle is we had a good offense last year. We had a good offense in 2022, and Geno is fully healthy. We have better weapons, and we have an improved offensive line. So, like, what's the reason to think that this isn't going to be a like top 14 offense at a minimum this year? There's really not a reason.
Even if Geno gets hurt, like kind of how he was dealing with what was it, knee issues last year?
He had like a calf problem,
Yeah.
or something like that.
But whatever the case may be, I feel pretty confident with Sam Howell if we have to insert him for a game.
Yeah, I don't think he would, do something like go into New York and play the Jets at a 10 a.m. kickoff and win a game like that. But I think if you have to start Sam against the Patriots, or for example, I fully would have the confidence we'd win that game.
Yeah.
Especially because we have a good running game we can lean on. One thing we haven't really talked about so much yet is Ryan Grubbs, like our first peeks into his offense. I like what I'm seeing. Lots of motion. Guys are getting open at a pretty good rate from what I've watched. Granted, it's preseason, so can't really make too much of a call one way or another yet, but it's encouraging to say the least. And also the schematic changes to Mike McDonald's defense. I watched this analysis of a play where I believe we got a pick from a guy named Top Billin on YouTube. And they were showing how pre-snap it looked like our linebacker Tyrell Dodson was going to be blitzing. And what happened was, like, the second the ball snapped, he drops back into coverage. And then you have our rookie linebacker, what's his name?
Tyrese Knight?
Yeah, Tyrese Knight, thank you. He comes and does man coverage on the running back that's running out for a swing pass. And so Winston was trying to hit the swing pass and is like, oh, that's covered, and then just throws it immediately to Dodson, I believe, because he didn't. He just kind of like instinctively was like, okay, my number 2 is going to be open, because he thought Dodson was going to blitz, but he was dropping back and he threw it right to him. Just stuff like that. Creating turnovers from confusion is something that I think is going to be a welcome change to our defense, because we've been running some dumb shit for years, in my opinion. And it's not just me that thinks that. Like, I'm not a huge X's and O's guys. I understand what I understand, but I'm not, a coordinator. But from some people I listen to that are like film nerds, they've been shitting on the Seahawks defensive schemes for years. So
As they should, because we used to be a team that were like ball hawks. We would get so many interceptions every year, and it seems like the Jamal Adams era, we just never got any.
it was just bend and don't break, but still break.
Yeah.
It's the best way to describe it. So yeah, I to kind of wrap up the point I was trying to make, like there's a world where the Seahawks are like first round bye type of team this year, and there's also a world where we don't have quite enough to get into the tournament because we have a really hard schedule, but I think we're getting pretty underrated by the media. There's a lot of talent on this team. There's more talent on this team right now than there has been since probably 2020, I would say. And not only that, but the guys we've had, like a DK Metcalf and JSN, they look like they're ready to make a leap this year. And they have a quarterback who, no matter what you think of him, Geno is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league. So he can get the ball to guys that are open.
I'm also curious to see how Tariq Woolen plays this year and how Devin Witherspoon plays, because Witherspoon was in everyone's good graces, and Reek had the sophomore slump that we didn't expect to see. I'm wondering if we're going to see a little bit of tides turning there. I'm wondering if him seeing Witherspoon and the way he played and got praise from the media is going to maybe push him to, I don't know, have a chip on his shoulder this year. And
well, he's had a really good offseason, and
that's what I keep hearing.
He was locking up Calvin Ridley at the joint practice. I don't know if you saw any of those
Well,
tapes.
I mean, it's Calvin Ridley. But.
Fair. But, yeah, if those guys turn it on, and then you have someone like Trey Brown coming in as a third corner who's also looked really good this summer, like this is a sneaky, sneaky good cornerback room. Like arguably just as good as our receiver room is in a lot of ways. And with the way the league has changed, that's one of the most important factors for any team. I think the bottom line is the kryptonite of the Seahawks this year is just going to be their offensive line play. You know, if Haynes works out, if Anthony Bradford, if he can step up this year.
Christian Haynes is the rookie.
Yeah, I have a feeling eventually he'll be our starting left guard. I don't think the guy we got from the Jets, Laken Tomlinson, is a long-term or a short-term answer. I think they're kind of just waiting for Haynes to be ready.
What's going on with our center?
Oh, so what's his name?
The guy we got from the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Chris something?
Wow, can't remember his name right now. But his week 1 status is kind of up in the air right now. It's not Byron Murphy. I haven't even brought up
Connor Williams.
Connor Williams, thank you. Yeah, I think he's probably going to play week 1. But he is a big improvement. He's the best center we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
But real quick, since Colby pulled it up here, we haven't even talked about Byron Murphy. He looked unblockable in the preseason. He looked amazing.
I asked Jonah, I was like, who's the rookie you're most excited for? And he was Byron Murphy, so that's what
It's an easy choice for sure. Yeah, I think he's kind of the by far and away headliner of this rookie class, without a doubt.
Well,
And
what he brings to the table is what we haven't had for so long. So that's why I'm like, finally.
yeah, he was winning double teams in the preseason, and guys like Jerron Reed and Leonard Williams, and I forget the other Draymond. Yeah, but the other big guy we got from the Cowboys, I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his name either.
He looks like
He's been a
you do not want to be hit by this guy.
yeah, he's built just like a way bigger Marshawn
Is it
Lynch.
Jonathan Hankins?
It is Jonathan Hankins. Thank you. You're killing it with the names today,
I can
Jonah.
see it. All right. Here.
I should remember that. Anyways, yeah, Hankins has a lot of experience in the NFL, and he's been like a plus starter for the Cowboys for years. So the defensive line, the big boy rotation we got going on, it's the best we've had in, I would say, maybe a decade, like honestly.
So I'm seeing, I guess I'm not seeing Abraham Lucas on the 53. Is he just on IR right now?
He's on the PUP list.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long is he allowed to be on that for?
I think up to 10 weeks. So, I mean,
right.
I hope we see him this season is all I got to say. But, George Fant is way, way better than the players we had for
That's true.
our right tackle last year. Like, Jake Curran is not even in the league anymore. So, That's what we trotted out for
guy.
like 9 games last year. And like, I no disrespect to Jay Curran. Like, you know, he was supposed to be a backup for a reason. He got put in a tough spot. But the point remains, Fant is a starter in the NFL. So, and he started for us years ago and was pretty good.
Yeah.
In my thoughts. One last topic. Let's talk about our boy on the Steelers winning the starting job. And
Knew it all along.
yeah, I mean, you heard it here in like March that this was going to be the case, even after they got Justin Fields. Again, I know probably none of them are listening, but to all the teenagers that are, for some reason, enthralled with Justin Fields, like, give it up, you guys. Like, it's just not going to happen. I really don't. And like, even some people I respect in the media, like Mina Kimes, were saying that Fields should start over Wilson. Like, I don't care if Wilson's playing like a shell of himself. He threw 26 touchdowns to 8 picks last year. Justin Fields hasn't even ever thrown like 16 touchdowns, and he's never even thrown for like 2,500 yards. He is a bad passer.
Yeah, he's a bad passer. From what I've seen, he's not a very good leader. And like, remember when he was in Chicago and he was like shitting on the Bears fans, saying like they have no right to be mad because they are the ones that put in all the work, so they're the ones that should be upset about the losses and blah blah blah. Like, you don't, like, a good character guy just doesn't go behind the microphone and say that. So
honestly, I think unless Justin Fields can really turn around, and maybe he can, he's still young, but I think he should go the route of a former athletic quarterback that played in this league a while back and just convert to receiver. Because
Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think he could be a really good wide receiver with his.
Who did that?
Do you remember the guy that was on the Raiders and then he became a receiver for the Browns?
Oh, Terrell Pryor.
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah,
He had a
was really
1,000-yard
good.
season. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Like,
and then he just disappeared after that.
Yeah.
Like, I think he went to at the time, the Redskins, and then he was never seen again.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I think, but that's kind of the way Justin Fields' career is heading right now, because
Yeah.
he had, I mean, think about it. He got DJ Moore and like all these draft picks and like infusion of talent to play with last year. And people will talk about the Bears' offensive line. Did you watch the games? He holds onto the ball so long. Like, he creates,
And
it's like every criticism you can level against 36-year-old Russell Wilson, you can also level against Fields, but, you know, Fields is more athletic at this point in their career. Well, he's more athletic than Wilson ever was.
So
but
people actually thought Fields was going to start over Russell Wilson.
yeah.
I
Just
don't
because-
know.
I would never, I would tell you to get fucked. If
I
you
thought
did.
there was like a 1% chance of that happening.
Yeah, I guess always a chance, but it's like Russell Wilson. He's still Russell Wilson.
I
Yeah.
kind of also just think Fields is overrated because he played for Chicago, and so many people in the Midwest media just want Chicago to be good so bad that I think there's a bias with the Bears because the Bears are getting like Nick Wright picked them to win the NFC.
The NFC, not just the NFC North?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's
Well, Nick Wright said the Chiefs were going 17-0 last year. He's kind of the king of hyperbolic bad takes.
He has a lot of good points, but he has a lot of points that I'm like, that's insane. Like, he thought Caleb Williams was better than fucking like Jared Goff last year. So
Before he was even in the
yeah,
NFL.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb is immediately better than Goff. But that you can't say that till they're
Jared
leaving
Goff's
the
a good
NFL.
quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not bad.
Give him the right circumstance. If he plays in a dome, give him a good couple of receivers. He's a good player.
Right. And he's someone that has really developed over the years because
Yeah.
he was horrific.
I hated him. He was my fantasy player, but I kept him, and then now he's like one of my best fantasy players.
I love him
It's
for
crazy.
fantasy.
I wish
'cause
I had
he's-
gotten him from you when
he's-
you hated him.
He's always there in like the 10th round. So like I just don't pick a quarterback until
Yeah.
super late, and then he's there.
But
You know what's
he's, like,
crazy about
frustrating.
Jared Goff too? We have almost the same birthday. Like I'm almost the same exact age as Jared Goff, and I feel like for how long he's played, you would think he's like 35.
Yeah.
But he's 29. He's still not even 30 yet.
Yeah.
So he might be someone that plays for like 10 more years because it's not like he's ever been an athlete. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, prediction for the Steelers this season. Do you think Fields will ever see the field?
I don't know. I feel like it would be bias of me to say no. Cause As long as the Steelers stick to the game plan that Pete Carroll did for so long, which is have Russ throw the ball like 25 to maybe 30 times a game and run the ball, because they have Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, and I think I heard this the other day. Jalen Warren, his yards after contact is, I think, top 5.
He was really
all the
good
running
last
backs
year
in the NFL. It might be number 1, but don't quote me on that.
Wait, really quick. So Jared Goff, right? Ryan Gosling.
I could definitely see it.
I see it. Yeah. He's like Walmart Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, he just looks. He's like an ugly version of this guy.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
Yeah, I agree. I think, especially with the Steelers defense, they have a formula to be in a really annoying team to play this year. Just like they were last year, but they have a way better. I mean, I don't care like what you think of Russell Wilson. Kenny Pickett is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever watched. And so they're free of that now.
God, Kenny Pickett is so fucking bad. And he's like so small. That's why it's funny like watching
his
him
hands
play
are smaller
that.
than mine, and he's an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. He's a
Well, he looks ugly.
Wait, make him big.
How do you be quarterbacking your last name's Pickett?
I always knew because of his name he wasn't going to be good.
I always knew because he wore gloves
Actually,
he wasn't
dude,
going to be
Look at
good.
his hand. Look at that.
Dude, see, they're like,
Look at this thing.
it's kitten mittens. Kenny Kitten Mittens Pickens.
Look at that's like.
Pickett. Pickett Pickens.
Pickens.
Yeah, Pickens might have a good season this year.
Oh,
He might become Wilson's new Cameron Sutton.
Get that off the screen.
Yeah, you're gonna get our show like demonetized.
It's not monetized.
You don't have to tell them that. Anywho, yeah, I can't wait for this season to start, man. It's felt like an especially long off season this year, so I'm very much looking forward to next weekend.
Yeah, me too. We got 6 days. Check out the JR Takes Instagram's latest posts on how Ryan and I feel about the season being 6 days away.
It's really important.
Yeah.
And stay
It's
tuned
really
for more
great.
of this.
No, you get no more of that. After.
Yeah,
What
that
about that?
You do get more
you
of
will
that.
get more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be our new logo, honestly.
This staple of like background. When I don't know what to do, I'm like.
All right, put them out there.
All right, well, that's kind of all I got for this episode. Just the anticipation that is the season to begin next Thursday. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Excited to talk about some real football on the next one.
yeah, I wish I didn't work on Thursday. I almost want to like do an episode during.
Just say you have COVID.
I might.
This is gonna be put to life.
No, we're-
Does Aspen watch this podcast?
no. So yeah, I'm not coming into work.
You're wearing an Aslan sweatshirt.
All right. Well.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by.